Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, this is my ultimate Battlefield 2042 tips and tricks, settings, movement, guide of everything all at once, all the time, sort of thing. I'm updating a similar video that I made over a year ago now, and since I made that video, obviously the game has changed quite a bit. They've added a number of different options that I have not included in any recent guides, and that is what this video is going to cover. This video is going to include a bunch of different tips and tricks for your gameplay, a full movement guide and demonstration, a bunch of different settings tips, and I guess without further ado, let's get right into it. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video. I really do appreciate that, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for 51,000 subs, and without further ado, let's just start going into things. So we're going to start with settings first. If you don't care about settings, I suppose you can skip to the other parts of the video. I will leave chapters in the video. In the general section, control hints, I would turn those off. Allow followers. If you plan on making a portal server, I would turn this on. If you don't, I would turn this off. You're going to want to make sure you also have persistent servers turned on. Enabling persistent servers will essentially allow your servers that you create to remain active after you leave them. So this is another really important option for anyone that plans on hosting portal servers. Moving on to the network settings, there's always a bunch of stuff that's very important here. They've added a hit detection graph. If you want your hit detection graph, which is the show event graph here at the very, very bottom, to be in the upper left-hand corner, copy the horizontal position and the vertical position you see here. What this essentially does is it shows you the amount of bullets you have fired, the amount of bullets you have actually hit, and the amount of bullets that hit but didn't deal damage. So it's literally a hit rate graph. It's kind of depressing to look at sometimes because the hit detection is, not that great. Moving on to display. Obviously, what you see here is going to be different for your setup. I play on a 1440p monitor. I also play on a 240Hz monitor. Field of view in third person. Field of view is completely personal preference. So is brightness, also based on your monitor. You want to make sure to have motion blur turned completely off. You want to make sure you have chromatic aberration turned off and vignette. In terms of your graphics preset, I'm not going to go too in depth here. If you want the game to look amazing, play on Ultra. If you want performance and you want responsiveness, turn everything to all low. The game looks just fine. In terms of DLSS, future frame rendering, NVIDIA Reflex low latency, I would make sure you have this on enabled plus boost. In terms of DLSS and future frame rendering, these two settings are very computer dependent, and I would recommend that you test them individually on your own PC setup. Don't worry, I have VSync on because I'm testing something with my own monitor. Don't freak out. For 99.9% of people, turn this off. Moving on to HUD General, this is where some of the most important settings are. Make sure you have HUD motion turned off. If you want your soldier compass, this is where you find that. I personally don't like a compass, so I turn it off. If you want it on ADS only, you can do that. Always on. Camera shake amount. My thing is bugged. You can turn it down to, I believe, 20 by default, and mine is on 20. It just shows 0. Make sure you have camera shake turned down as far as you possibly can to, I believe, 20. This is where you change your custom settings, color settings, if you want. You can choose a bunch of different colorblind settings or custom settings, so you can make your allies yellow if you want. I just leave mine on default. This is where you find the kill log if you want to turn it off, if you want to turn it on. If you want to make sure you only see kills that are made by you or made by squad and nearby friendlies, you can do that. This is a brand new setting that they just added called damage numbers. It's much like Apex. Actually, it's exactly like Apex Legends. If you want to see the amount of damage you're doing to someone while you're doing it, turn this on. You can have it, you can hide it, you can put it down in the center, bottom center of the score log. You can put it in the screen center. If you want to copy it exactly how you see it on the right side of my screen right here, copy the damage number horizontal and vertical offsets. You can also change the damage number size. I recommend small because while it is useful to see damage, you don't want it to block anything. Another new option that they added, and I can't believe I have to say this, they added all chat, ladies and gentlemen. If you did not know they added all chat, it's not on by default. You actually have to go in here and turn on the ability to talk to the enemy team. So in the chat, you just turn all chat on. Very simple. You can also change chat width, chat height, chat scale, all that good stuff. HUD scaling. They finally allowed you to change your minimap size. I recommend the biggest minimap possible, 125. In terms of anything else, I make my world log scale, game hint scale, vehicle passenger scale, player info scale a little smaller. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, it highlights what these are. I just don't find this information to be that imperative. And in terms of HUD padding, which as you can see on the right-hand side, it moves your UI elements either closer to the center of the screen or farther away from the center of the screen. I prefer my things pushed into the center of the screen because technically that means my eyes have to move a shorter distance in order to see the same information. If you don't care about this, then just leave it on the default 0, or you can do, whatever you want. Moving on to crosshair. You're going to want to make sure you can see your freaking crosshair. Make sure that all these opacity settings are good here. In terms of crosshair color, that's personal preference, as well as crosshair thickness. One thing you want to make sure you have off, though, is crosshair projection. Crosshair projection is a terrible setting. Make sure you turn that off. In terms of, this is where you change your hit indicator options, hit color, hit indicator opacity, headshot color, kill color, all that good stuff. And this is where you change your damage indicator settings for you taking damage. So that's where you find all that stuff. Pretty straightforward. In terms of specific minimap settings, you can also change your minimap scale in here. You can decide whether or not it rotates with your view. This is where you decide what distance in meters your minimap shows you by default if you spawn as an infantry soldier. Mine, I changed to 60 meters because I like to see a little bit more when I spawn. You can also change for ground vehicles and air vehicles in terms of meter distance. Now, in terms of anything else here, you can also mess around with your big map if you like hitting the M key. I don't know what it is on controller. And yeah, basically, that is the minimap settings. And then finally, these are some of the most important settings, ladies and gentlemen. HUD icons. For aim-based icons opacity, this entire big old section you see here, don't touch it. I've messed with this a lot. It's weird. It's not really well explained, and I would just recommend leaving it on default. I have no problems playing the game. Now, why this section is so important for gameplay is this clears up a substantial amount of screen clutter and improves visibility dramatically. For objective icons, I make mine a little smaller, and I make their opacity, actually I'm going to change the opacity even more, I make the opacity lower by default because I know where the objectives are already. I don't really need to see a gigantic glowing A1. And then this is for when you ADS. I have it so it completely removes the objective icon when I'm aiming down sights, and that is the general theme here that I'm going to try to emulate for you guys to clear up as much screen clutter as possible. So I'm just going to shut up now. You basically understand what is going to go on, and you can copy my settings here. And just know that if you want to change the opacity, which is how visible something is, just change the opacity settings here for each of these sections. If you want, you can copy my settings here. I'll just scroll through. Make sure for revive icons, you have these turned off in ADS. That clears up a substantial amount of screen clutter. For enemy icons, you're going to want to make sure that these are not turned down. As you can see here, you want to make sure your enemies are completely visible. All right, so that is it for that section. And lastly, I just want to go over to sound. Sound is a bit of personal preference. I find that footsteps on my headphones, on 3D headphones setting, is actually extremely good. So I would recommend trying the 3D headphone settings and just seeing how that works for you. Now we're going to jump in game and go over a bunch of different tips in there. All right, so now we're going to go over a very useful tip for the plus menu, and I'm going to detail a bunch of different tricks that I learned with this game's movement and how to utilize that to the best of your ability. So first thing I want to mention is a plus menu tip. Plus menu is this thing, if you don't know what I'm talking about. It allows you to change attachments on the fly. The default binding for this, I find it to be terrible, on PC at least. I'm not sure what it is on controller, but the tip that I'm going to show you is also applicable on controller, just if you guys are wondering. The default binding for the plus menu is, I believe, T, and that is a terrible bind for this because you need to be able to quickly access this so you can, well, play the game more effectively. Now, I can essentially just change all these attachments super fast because I have set it up in a way to where it is comfortable. And where you're going to want to go here is you're going to want to go to options. If you're on mouse and keyboard, it'll be on mouse and keyboard. If you're on controller, it'll be on controller, obviously. Go to edit key bindings and then go to weapons and equipment. scroll down to modify weapon attachments. I rebind this to a button that is very easily accessible for me. I recommend your mouse side button if you're a mouse and keyboard player. If you're a controller player, just again, maybe have a bumper controller, maybe have those buttons on the back. I believe that would be a perfect bind option for this. The reason why you want to do that is in combination with this more easily accessible bind, you can use the numbers in the center of the plus menu, 1 corresponding to this row, 2 for this row, 3 for this row, and 4 for this row. You can say I want to switch ammo real fast. I just switched ammo types. I just switched a scope. I just switched my muzzle attachment. I just switched to a grenade launcher. I just switched everything back, right? And if you didn't set this up like this with a button that's way better, you would be much slower at this and probably die while doing it. So I recommend rebinding that, and I'll just show it to you again. Key-bindings, weapons, and equipment. You're going to want to find a more comfortable binding for modify weapon attachments. Now, in terms of this game's movements, I'm going to start with real basic stuff. I'm playing McKay. McKay is a character where he strafes at the same speed in hipfire in ADS as well. So he does not have any ADS movement speed penalty. If you're playing another character such as Falk, when you ADS, you'll be strafing slower. If you care about your movement a lot, play McKay. If you don't care about it a lot, you can just utilize the other tricks that I'm going to show you right now. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And again, thank you guys for hitting 51,000 subs. So the most basic thing that can help you in this game is understanding how to utilize the slide. Many people have opinions about the slide, but it's in the game, so I figured why not use it. There are two ways to, I guess, slide jump. There is the slide and then jump, right? You can jump comfortably twice after that, or you can run and then jump into a slide and then jump after that. That gives you more momentum, and you can use this to, say, slide down a hill, right? Say you want to jump down this hill and then land sliding, get a bunch of momentum off of that and distance. You can also do a little quick slide jump. So if I want to peek this corner, slide jump, right? Just like almost hit those binds exactly together. So slide jump. Slide jump. Pretty straightforward. If you want to peek a corner with more speed, you can run at the corner first and then jump, then hit slide in midair, and then you will obviously get much more distance. I'll demonstrate that one more time. The way I do this is I run at the corner first, jump, then hit slide in midair, right? Then you land sliding and you get a lot more distance. Also, this goes without saying, but you can obviously use sliding to slide around corners just like this. And I come to a stop crouched because my slide key is also my toggle crouch key. If you want, you can have both a toggle crouch and a hold to crouch. This is very important in my opinion because sometimes you're reloading and say you're fighting a guy like behind this wall. Sometimes you don't want to hold crouch. You just want to, toggle crouch, reload and then, peek again. Also, hold to crouch is much better for the other movement trick which I wanted to show you, which is crouch spamming. Crouch spamming is, well, just as it sounds. They nerfed it, so you can't do it that often anymore. But you can do it, about 3 or 4 times before you get super slow. And this makes you much harder to hit in your gunfights. And I would highly recommend doing this. It doesn't look like much on my monitor, but in third person, your character is sort of doing this sort of up and down crab walk motion. And you're going to want to be able to do this. And obviously, you can combine this with a bunch of different things. Like, I just did this slide hop and I landed crouch spamming. And you're also going to want to utilize proning. Proning, people utilize it the wrong way a lot of the times. People are like, oh, proning is only for this. Like, oh, I just want to, shoot at these guys over here. The difference between an excellent player and a world-class player in this game is understanding how to use prone properly in order to cut off line of sight. You can do this in an innumerable amount of ways. I can even use this as cover, right? Say I wanted to cut off line of sight here. I'm actually safe. Like, I am safe from these people now. So, you want to use prone as a way to utilize areas of cover like this that wouldn't be cover otherwise. And that's as best as I can explain that. Now, I want to teach you guys something about crouch peeking corners and how to peek corners if you're not playing McKay. And actually, I'm going to show you guys how to do this without playing McKay. This still works on McKay, but it's a little stronger because of the added ADS movement speed. So I'm gonna play, let's play some Falc. I'll show you guys. So say you want to peek, let's just get a good corner here. Say you want to peek this guy, right? It's slow to, like, you know, ADS and then, you know, I'm gonna peek this guy. Oh, I'm fucking dead, right? Like, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is, you're going to want to get us, you know, get a good idea of where he is, and then up from a crouch. So as you can see, I'm crouched and then peeking up, right? Up from a crouch, you can, right? You understand? So, you know, get a good idea of where someone is, and if you want to peek him, you can either crouch into it or peek it out of a crouch, right? And you can, this is essentially crouch spamming out of a corner. That's essentially what it is. And as you can see, you know, it's much more effective than just going, oh, I'm gonna peek this guy. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna peek this guy. Like, you know, you want to be more crafty with it, right? And you can also sort of peek something and then prone immediately, and then as you're getting up, it might look like you're exposed, but your player animation is sort of almost flatter if you imagine it. So if you want to try to cross this gap, you might think, oh, there's like 2 people here, I can't cross it. Sometimes you can, you know, maybe peek one and then prone and then move in the direction you want to go to, and then just sort of get up and then immediately slide jump out of it. And your character will sort of be like at this height for a little bit, and then he'll be full height about here, then you'll be safe. And it's a little easier to cross things. So I think I covered everything I want to cover. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. If you want to, I have one-on-one coaching sessions. I've coached people all the way from, I guess, the age of 10, whose father bought him a lesson with me, all the way to retired police officers. So I've worked with a ton of different people, mouse and keyboard players, all the way to controller players, everything in between. Link in the description. It's called Metafy, M-E-T-A-F-Y. You can sign up. These are paid lessons, full disclosure. You don't have to do them. I just thought I'd mention it for a tips and tricks video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I'm going to see you guys later.